Julia, this was a long, exhaustive session that really went down to the wire. What would you say was the headline out of this year's session?
I mean, it's clearly got to be the tax cuts. After years of trying, the Senate Republicans, House Republicans, Governor Ducey finally managed to get something that resembles a flat tax and amounts to the biggest tax cut Arizona's seen in years. It'll add up to close to $1.8 billion by the time it's fully phased in.
It's historic, but already there's some concern that it only benefits the wealthy. As you have taken a deep dive into the numbers, what does it mean for the average Arizonan?
So for the average Arizonan, say you're someone making somewhere between $30,000 and $75,000 a year, a middle class person, you're going to get somewhere between about $17 and $34 back. Maybe you can go out, have a nice dinner. If you're making more than $1 million a year, you're looking at getting $46,000 back. So it is a very big dramatic difference between most Arizonans and those who are the wealthiest. The argument that conservatives who voted for this tax cut will make is that those Arizonans who are getting the biggest tax cut also pay the most into our system. The wealthier you are, the more you pay.
Now, this tax cut will be phased in over the next 3 years. Once Arizona has a new governor, could that person, Democrat or Republican, shift course and change it?
This person could, but it would take a lot of work. So once you have a tax cut written in law, it's going to take a vote of two-thirds of both the state house and the state senate to undo it and to turn around and raise taxes in some other way. And while we may get a Democratic governor in the next couple of years, it's very unlikely that we're going to get a two-thirds Democratic majority in both the House and the Senate. So they may be stuck with this.
Okay, we'll talk politics in a minute, but first, education and public safety, always the biggest pools of the budget. Where do those two land here at the end of the session?
It's been a banner year for state finances, and so education and public safety both got pretty substantial amounts of the state budget. You've got DPS officers, corrections officers are getting raises. There's more funding for education, though, of course, as the governor frequently says, you can never check the box on public education. There's never going to be enough funding there. And I think teachers would agree with that, that there's not enough funding for schools still. Um, and then when it comes to higher ed, they really benefited from this budget in part because one Republican senator held out and refused to vote for a long time. And so universities like the University of Arizona and ASU are getting millions of dollars more than they have in previous years.
This was the slimmest margin the state capitol has seen in a very long time, probably history. You would know this the best. But when it comes to what these lawmakers tell us about the state's political makeup, what does that mean for the landscape looking forward to the next election cycle?
So I think the big thing that we saw this year, especially from the state legislature, is that it's a slim margin, but that doesn't mean there is any more bipartisanship. What you have left, the moderate Republicans are gone. You have left people who need to run to the right because the only thing they fear is a primary challenge. And so it, the state as a whole may be trending more purple or blue, but if you have enough Republicans in office being elected from really red parts of the state, we're going to keep having Republican priorities.
You had Republicans, though, who crossed the aisle to vote with Democrats this session. What does that tell you?
I think that shows in some cases that they're standing up to some of their own values. One of the cases that was most where this was most clear was with a couple of public school teachers, Joel John from Buckeye, Michelle Udall from Mountain Mesa, both crossed the line and voted with Democrats to vote against voucher expansion. And I think their identity as public school teachers and people involved in the education system took precedence over their identity as Republicans in that case. In other cases, you have folks like Senator Paul Boyer, one of the few remaining Republicans who's representing an area that's growing more and more blue. He had a Democratic seatmate elected this year. And in some cases, it can be a little more if you're representing an area that's no longer as Republican and you're trying to represent your constituents, you're going to cross the aisle more.
Okay. And finally, Julia, there is some idea that lawmakers take the summer off and go back to their districts and enjoy the warm weather. Is that really what they do before the next session begins?
I think some of them are doing that. Some are out on vacations now. They were really eager to just end, take some time off, turn off their phones, get back to nature. But a number of them are still in Phoenix. And this year, with the ongoing audit into the 2020 election, you've got a lot more people staying down there, hoping to do more work this summer on whatever those audit results show us.
Julia Shumway, thank you for your reporting and your analysis from the Arizona Capitol Times. Thank you.
Thank you.